I've served with judges appointed by President Obama all the way back to President Johnson. And in the 10th Circuit, we hear cases from 6 different states covering 2 time zones and 20% of the continental United States. But in the West, we listen to one another respectfully. We tolerate, we cherish different points of view, and we seek consensus whenever we can.
Wow. Joining us now, member of the Judiciary Committee, Republican Senator Ben Sasse of Nebraska.
You know, Mika, Ben Sasse had a very bad day yesterday because he told me when he first came to Washington, I came here to be on TV. That's the only reason I'm here. I want to be on C-SPAN.
Yeah.
You missed your big day yesterday.
I have a face for radio, brother.
Yeah. So before we get to Neil Gorsuch, we have to ask, what are your thoughts about? What are your thoughts about
the big story?
The president's lie, first of all, about Barack Obama. Should he apologize to him? And secondly, this headline, boy, that's a big one that the FBI is investigating Trump-Russia ties.
It's not healthy for America to have that headline. I mean, we have to back up and recognize that America as a republic can't work if we don't have shared facts. And we need to have a conversation in this city that's less urgent about everybody trying to do clickbait and a little more serious, what facts do we have in common?
Does the White House look like it wants to improve upon that, especially when you look at what Sean Spicer said yesterday? Do they want the truth to prevail?
I don't understand what the White House is doing right now, but what I would love is if President Trump backed up and said 10 or 15 or 20 years from now, when I'm convalescent on the front porch of a nursing home somewhere, I want to be able to ask myself the question, did I advance the health of the republic, and did I advance a sense of shared facts? Is that what my administration is doing?
And right now, he's not, is he?
I don't think Ted Cruz's dad had anything to do with killing Kennedy. Right, I mean, we've got a pattern of these, and it doesn't work.
Yeah. Let me ask you about other Republicans. What I've picked up is that in the Senate there are 5, 6, 7, 8 Republicans like yourself that are willing to stand up for what's true and what's not true, willing to stand up to the president, John McCain, Lindsey Graham, other independents. Are there 5, 6, 7 Republicans that will stand shoulder to shoulder with you?
Well, I don't know how to do the counting, but there are lots of good people here. But this town is filled with people that are obsessed with short-term issues.
Yeah.
They want to get reelected and they want to get through media cycles. And Washington doesn't work and America doesn't work if there aren't a whole bunch of people thinking a lot more like you want your grandparents to be thinking about their grandkids' health.
Yeah, tell us about Neil Gorsuch. How did the hearing go?
Neil Gorsuch is a really impressive guy. Shame that it got overshadowed by all the other things, but he's the kind of person, I think, that could give people a little more hope in the health of their government and the kinds of people who understand what a calling is. He's a guy who I think comes to the court every day on the 10th Circuit wearing a referee's jersey, not trying to wear a Broncos versus a Packers jersey, and that's what you need in a judge.
So he was very impressive, and he is exactly what you need in a justice as well. Do you think the fever can break now, and after starting with Robert Bork to the present, it's been escalating, you can say, okay, let's get this one passed because there's no reason to vote against him?
Boy, I hope so. It's going to depend on Democrats in this case. I'm an incredibly conservative guy by my voting record, but I'm not particularly partisan. So I don't usually start by Republicans are right and Democrats are wrong, because I think both of these parties are pretty dang unimpressive. But that one's going to hinge on Democrats, because there's no reason anybody should be voting against this guy. He should be confirmed 100-0. And you got a whole bunch of people trying to figure out a way to hyperventilate, to say he's probably kicked a puppy somewhere along the way in his life. And there's no there there. The guy's, I think his number yesterday were, of the 2,700 cases he's heard on the 10th Circuit, he's been part of the majority 99% of the time, and he's been a part of a unanimous, the opinions he's written have been unanimous 97% of the time. It should be 100-0 for Neil Gorsuch.
So, Senator, to that point, yesterday you saw the prickly partisanship sort of rear its head at various times in the way the Democrats had their opening salvo. Today, the questioning begins. How do you see Republicans approaching the questioning here to sort of, to your point, Walter, sort of bring this into a space where we can get a fuller picture of this nominee as opposed to a partisan picture of him?
Yeah, so we ended up stopping voting a day early last week, and so I traveled across Nebraska doing town halls and Rotary Club speeches and schools, and I happened to meet with a bunch of different civics teachers, and they were talking about how they plan to use these hearings in their high school classes. And what we need is kids understanding why we have a Bill of Rights again. What we need is kids understanding why we have limited government, why we have 3 separate but equal branches that check and balance one another. And I know that some of my questioning today for the judge is going to focus on 30, 40 years from now when you're retiring and you look back on your career, how will it have been different to have spent 30 or 40 years on the Supreme Court versus having been 30 or 40 years as a Colorado senator? I hope we can do basic civics because our country needs it.
You know, Senator, it's interesting you said that. It's what I've been thinking for some time, that we find ourselves where we are because we've in colleges stopped teaching Western civilization as much, stopped focusing as much on the foundation of this country, stopped focusing on physics. That allows a president to call the press the enemies of the people, something that Stalin said, but Khrushchev wouldn't even follow. Allows a president to actually question the legitimacy of judges. It allows a president to lie about his predecessor. What are you hearing from the people of Nebraska? Is there a disconnect from our heritage? Is there a disconnect from our history? Do they understand that what's happening now is not normal?
Yeah, they do, absolutely. So the people that I represent, the 1.9 million Nebraskans that I'm privileged to represent, they're moms and dads, and they're worshipers and they're workers before they're people who want to consume partisan politics and scream about it. But now, once you get to the place that you consume partisan politics, we do a lot more screaming than shared deliberating right now. And it reminds me of what General Hayden said in your last segment, where he said influence campaigns don't start by trying to create entirely new problems for a civilization. They try to exploit fissures that already exist. And that's obviously what's happening right now, that we don't have a shared sense.